We've all been there. You're in the studio, finished mixing a track. You're super proud of it. You spent like hours and, you know, just your whole fucking week on track. And you put a slight limiter on it, you know, squash it by, you know, 3-4 dB, whatever. Export it and listen to it back and just, oh man, yeah, I'm proud of this punch. Can't wait to play that tonight. Go at the club, blend it in, comes for the drop, and you're just like, people are looking like you like, and there's that guy on the right looking at you like, back up all your dub plate, put them in the suitcase and go away with them, rubbish. And then you just cry and end up doing some Jameson shot because you're like, fuck, I suck. Well, no, you don't suck. You just probably don't know about a few tricks that you should. And I'm there for you, so we're going to show you that today. So up in for this ride, today will be very special and extremely special. So special that I'm actually going to be mastering a forthcoming vinyl release of the next white label from Gourmetbeats by none other than my good friends from Cali, Solo Mine. So check this out. I'll also be doing a master digital for Abstract Stonen's latest track. So check this out. I'll try to edit it, make it as short as possible. There will be some jump cuts in there, but no material will be left. Trust. So hop in for a ride, and I hope you learn a few things or two. And yeah, peace. I got asked to do that. First thing I like to do before I master something is, of course, listen to it carefully and get a general idea of the track. Let's start with track number 1 from Solo Mine called Tavas. Oh yeah. All right, cool. Now you may be wondering why I show you the sound meter. It's actually just to show you how loud I will listen to stuff before I master. So yeah, around 50, 65 dBs is what I think is mine. Some like it louder, 75 or so, maybe 80. That's a bit too loud for me. Maybe when I'm done and put the brick wall at the end, my level will probably be reaching 85, maybe. So we'll see about that. But yeah, so yeah, the track is like what I expect from Solo Mine. It's mixed so perfectly that this won't be an issue to master. Now, the problem at hand is just to make it so you master it with being in a vinyl mentality, which is, and yeah, these are issues on vinyl. You can't be as loud as a digital format. What you actually have to do is not only like have like a high cut and a low cut applied, but you also need to have all your bass monoed. Why is that? Is that because you can't have stereo bass, or otherwise the needle will just jump. And you can have a slight stereo bass, but you cannot have a sine wave playing a double on both of your channel, left and right. So what I'll do is just I mono the fuck out of it. So that's the first thing I will do, an EQ, and then have a stereo imager to fix those problems. They're not problems, but like for the medium we're doing, they are. Dead center to about 134, 140. You know what? 140 is good. It's kind of obvious that you want to compress that thing. So I will just do stuff. I will do my mastering, and if there's anything I need to add, I'll probably do it post. So what I'm actually doing here is taking an opto compressor, which are known to be very transparent, especially this one that I'm using. And I'm trying to set up my attack and release so I don't do much damage and pick up the transient. And you know, like have a very, very, very low threshold when you're doing like a compression on mastering, because firsthand you really want to do that at the mixdown instead. As a general guideline here, I would say use a medium release of about 100 milliseconds, 60, and an attack of 10 milliseconds to 15. That usually worked for me, as well as a ratio below 2:1, so like 1.6:1 or something like that, and about like 1 or 2 dB compression here. See, like here the vocals sounded a bit nosy. So yeah, I had to do some sort of taming over there because everything was sounding super balanced. But this specific area of it, I mean, it's popping up to me quite badly. So what I would do is like maybe compress it just a tad. But I'm trying not to compress it now because it's going to end up on vinyl and you don't want everything squash, you know. So I'll see what I can do to try to fix this problem and then go from there. If anything, multi-band compression will come in as the last tool to solve the problem. That's what I'm trying to say right there. I always come to a point in the chain where I will try to sculpt the sound a bit, and that's a bit of my signature thing. So what I do is I'll try to scope the mid around the 600 region, or sometimes even 300, but never below that, because otherwise you will hit your snare when you have a kind of snare. These are usually about like 240 hertz, so you don't want to touch that. The mid section and the mid range region is actually about there from 300, 600, 700 hertz. I always scope a bit there by like 1 or 2 dB, and it gives like more, it opens the track a bit, and this is what I'm doing right there. Since I've cut in the 1K region for that nasal voice thing, what I'm about to do here is put out a mid-side EQ. What a mid-side EQ does is it boosts and subtracts your stereo images. It works either on the side, left and right, or the mid. So what it will do is, if you're using the mid function, is actually pulling down everything that is dead center in that area, but never touch at the side. So this can be a powerful creative tool here that you can use even at the mixdown session to like have something super wide in the side and then switch off an EQ and put it back in the mid, so like the sound just travels from full stereo to dead mono. But in that context here, since I've cut and the 1K region, I'm trying to go and get those frequencies that I might have lost in the voice by actually expanding the stereo side using the mid-side EQ. So. All right, so what I did there, I added a master bus, as you will call it. You could do that in your mix, but I love to doing in my mastering chain. It's part a bit of my sound where I tend to go loud, and this definitely is the tool I use to like glue everything together. As soon as I put that, you could see the Congo going much like wider and just some general punch in there. But you know, like you don't go, the trick here is not to be super intense on it, just to add a small bit of it, like 1 dB, 1.5 dB of compression with a small ratio. Mine is obviously 1.5 because it's mastering. Maybe on a master bus, at the mixdown, I will use 2. High attack, because like you don't want your transient to be squashed. So 10 milliseconds is my go with this compressor to like just give him some more punch. The release I haven't tried with it. Yeah, I usually set it to auto. The smaller the release you got, the more pumpy sound you will get. And this could be good in high energy track, but this track, it's smooth, you know, so you don't want like a pumping sound, you know. So I'll try to keep it as original as possible. I'm going to play with the release a bit and see what comes out of it. After that, I will probably just add a brick wall. And this track is superbly mixed apart from the nosy sound from it. So there ain't really much to do to get it to like loud level. When you do vinyl, all you want to do is mono your bass, check your high frequency, and I'm about to do that as well. I'll probably put a de-esser. Like if you listen to old school hip-hop, like DMX and stuff like that on wax.
Put my shit on tapes, like you busting grapes. Think you holding weight, then you haven't met the apes. Stop.
It definitely sounds like the S are doing like shlah, 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 and it's like pumping all the time. And a de-esser could like work your issue around that. It's because the more frequency you got in that region, when I'm talking about like from 7 to 10 Ks, this, well, the more like you will eat your bandwidth, and your needle doesn't like that. So yeah, you need to tame these. Usually with a de-esser, or you can work ways with a multi-band compressor and just like target that area. That will work as well if you don't have a de-esser. So let's do that. Okay, like it's pretty good. It's pretty loud. It's balanced, at least to my ears. Now, what I'm going to do is try to compare it to the original mixdown. You don't want to fuck with the vision of the artist. But when you come to me for mastering, it's usually because you want to get a sort of sound. But I know Subtle Mind are pretty like online with what they want, so I'm not going to do my Phil Spectre sort of masters on their tunes. So what's going to happen is I'm going to compare before and after to see if some elements were lost. And yeah, so let's just listen together and see what happened. Don't worry if it's clip. When I press compare, it's normal because there's no limiter. So what it does is I just try to match so that both volumes are like equal, so you don't get fooled by your ears. And that's another thing. Always trust your ears. And yeah, all the time. So let's check it out. Yeah, so it looks like my EQ job there didn't work, trying to work these nasal frequencies. So I'm going to have to rework on that because we lost stereo images a bit. His mixdown sounds smoother than, like, I actually did damage to his track, which is normal to be expected at mastering stage. You're trying to do damage control here. So I'm going to work on this and see what I can do. As you just heard, the sound got more open right there. apparently I had the EQ all messed up, so I'm trying to find a sweet spot to regain this region that I have lost. After that, what I did was just check back and forth between the original mix and my mastering to see if everything was in line, clean, punchy, and in order to actually bounce the track. Alright, so I think it's pretty clean here. So what I could do in that case, if it were to be a digital master, I'll push it as loud as I can. But like, it's not how it works on vinyl. The quieter parts will be super quiet and the loud part will be super loud. So you want to adjust balance in between the two. And I think this is pretty much how I would do it. And if the artist doesn't like it, I will redo it. But for now, I think I would call this one kind of final and export it.